We'll save that. We'll save that for a later date.
All right.
Yeah.
Never mind. I just made all that up. Let's just start the episode then.
Let's do it. Why not? We're inside. Sadly, no birds today.
Do you think I could get you, or not I, but do you think you could imagine yourself getting into like Formula One or something like that?
Probably not.
No. Yeah.
No. Not my cup of tea. Maybe.
It's too intense for you. I
Maybe.
understand.
It is. I prefer more, tennis. It's less intense, There we go. There we go. Ooh. Let's turn the monitors up so we can actually hear what we're saying, Jared. How about that? That's right. Turn mic on the headphones up. 221. Dos uno. 221. De un. Right? Isn't that French? Think so, yeah? French is terrible if you couldn't tell. Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. We are here recording episode 221, if you couldn't tell from the introduction, and my terrible attempt to say 221 in various different languages. But yeah, today we will be talking about something that I think will be a very interesting and important topic now and in the future. I'm not looking at anything in specific, Jared. I'm just looking at you.
No, I was just looking for my coffee.
Oh, gotcha.
I didn't mean to distract you.
Don't want to lose your coffee, that's for sure. Sometimes I talk too much on this podcast, people, and Jared gets bored to sleep. So it's good to have that coffee by his side. But yeah, so we will be talking about soft diplomacy, which is kind of, as it sounds, I feel like it's a little bit intuitive. It is a diplomatic mission or cause that is person to person. It's not like a military thing. It's not... it's like that would be more hard diplomacy, right? Going and invading a country, it's pretty intense, pretty hard. So soft diplomacy is more, giving aid and helping out and things like that. So we will be discussing that more in detail. I have some own personal experience with soft diplomacy with my work abroad, so we'll talk about that a little bit. And I'm sure Jared has a lot of good questions and some good answers today as well. So without further ado, my good buddy Jared, happy to have you back here, Jared, and looking forward to talking about soft diplomacy with you.
Thank you. We're here in the rain location. I wish we could have gotten... How did we not think to get those guitars in the background? Those
Too late.
That guitar stand really makes it look like you know what you're doing. I'm not going to lie.
Sometimes I feel like I know what I'm doing, but not always. But check out our last episode on imposter syndrome if you feel like you don't know what you're doing.
Oh, wow. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Please... I'm so stupid. Please, everyone. Spread a little love. Follow us on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast, Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. Please, some 5-star reviews would be nice on iTunes and or Stitcher, whichever you prefer. And then that's it, really. You can also check us out on YouTube. As I mentioned, we're on the rain location, but this is a different angle, and this is really a great angle. I'm not going to lie. You got the quilt. Who made that quilt? Someone, so you know who made it, right?
It was either my aunt, so Charlotte's my Aunt Betty in Alaska, or my mom got it from a bazaar where she works at. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool arts and crafts stuff, I guess, in Anchorage, Alaska, which is where that quilt's from.
Speaking of which, this is actually the first time that the untranslatable owl is
in the shot,
exposed.
Yep, there it is.
Wow, that's
people.
Weird. I have to like... Oh, wait.
There it is, yeah. It's a mirror image, right?
There it is.
Yeah.
There.
Yep.
That was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, first of all, is soft diplomacy, when you mentioned how it's more like aid, is it like... So what if you're... Is it like what if you're like you're a medical group and you're going in providing like medical aid to like war-torn countries or something like that? Is that soft diplomacy?
I would say that
is that
falls
still not a
under
hard
the umbrella
diplomatic act if it's like, oh, we're sending some of our doctors from this to go?
I think hard diplomacy, from my understanding of it, it's more like a
act of war.
Yeah, or a government or a country's way to disrupt something. And usually not on a people-by-people basis, like teaching classes or providing medical help or just educating people in general. People go on all sorts of different grants, and there's many Peace Corps projects, for example. Peace Corps is a great example of soft diplomacy, where people will go to a lot of developing countries and help with, either work as a medic or... I've heard also of different ones where you go and help like farming and agriculture, all sorts of different stuff. But it's more like when I think of soft diplomacy, I really think of And maybe now in the Corona times, this isn't the right image I have in my head, but I think of people talking and shaking hands.
Sure.
Like soft diplomacy is really sitting down, having a conversation, learning from one another. And I also think sharing culture as well.
So is it like those pictures where you see the president shaking hands for 10 minutes? Like from two different countries, and they're just like... For 10 minutes, they're just shaking hands.
Exactly. or my favorite one is with Trump and Macron from France, where they're walking down the street. Have you seen that one?
Shit, no. I probably did when it happened.
Yeah, because I think Trump wouldn't. Yeah, Trump wouldn't let go of his hand, and I don't think Macron.
Is that a sign of weakness to letting go first?
I don't know,
man.
It does feel weird though if someone is still squeezing your hand and you let go.
Yeah, Germans kind of do that sometimes, dude. They can do a long handshake.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't like that. I'm like a two shakes and I'm out kind of thing.
I mean, now I'm fine with the namaste bow.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing. That's what we fully forewent the elbow.
Yeah, no
touch.
elbows, no touching really.
Now let me ask you this: where would, as far as soft versus hard diplomacy goes, where do you think the United States banning TikTok would fall on that? Did you hear about that?
Of course. I don't live under a rock. Of course I heard about
that. Yeah, that's right. You're on Twitter now.
Right. That's true, dude. I have been seeing a whole lot of different stuff now that I've been scrolling through the Twitter sphere.
The world seems a lot scarier out there, doesn't it?
It definitely does, Jared, I have to say.
Maybe that explains also why you've been posting more terrible memes on your Instagram, because you need just more relief after the carnage of Twitter.
Of course. Twitter can be brutal, man. For sure.
So what do you think about, as someone that has obviously experienced the Great Firewall of China, I've been thinking, like, is that like, how do you feel about
First of all, the whole thing about banning TikTok, I don't know how it will work. Like if they ban it, what does that mean? Does that mean it's not accessible to users in the US? Because there are ways around that. You know, there are ways people get around the laws in China online, you know?
And can a government ban a website so you just can't go to it?
I mean, yes.
Like, I know they do that in China, obviously.
They do it in a lot of different countries, I think. Any country with internet censorship is doing that, in theory, right?
Right.
So yeah, I'm not really sure, but sadly I see our diplomatic relations with China slowly deteriorating. Actually, not slowly, very quickly deteriorating before our very own eyes, which really breaks my heart.
Because of the virus, you think? Sorry, I'm going to turn it down a little bit.
Yeah, go for it. Not because of the virus, but just because
I get nervous just seeing how our government calls the virus, and like they call it all those terrible terms and stuff.
Right.
For no reason.
It's only to spread animosity.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, I guess there is a perfect reason.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's incredulous the way. Honestly, though, it's just too bad because I think the U.S. and China both have a lot of potential, and I think we have a lot more to gain to work together than we do to make the rift worse. But you know what? There's a lot of stuff that goes on that I'm sure we have no idea about. You know,
sure.
Like the consulate closing in Houston. Here, the U.S. ordered China to close the consulate within like 48 or 72 hours. Then in China, they ordered the U.S. to close their consulate in Chengdu. I had a friend who was a fellow that lived in Chengdu. So her consulate would have been closed. She probably would have had to fly to Shanghai or Beijing then if she ever needed any consulate help. So it's bad. It's really bad. And that's why...
Are those like the opposite of soft diplomacy? Like those are kind of like soft acts of...
It's not... Yeah, I would say those aren't... I would say...
Obviously, it's not diplomacy.
Right. And it's not soft either. That's more like an ultimatum.
I guess
really, it's not soft at all. I view soft diplomacy more as... and I don't mean to sound like this hippie or this, happy la-la land kind of guy, but I really view soft diplomacy as countries working together and helping each other out with their problems. I don't view it as I want to... bring my power and influence to your country. I want to dominate your country. It's more of, we can help you with this. We see you need help. And I guess what we get in return is we get to, experience your culture in your country and learn about it. And ideally, as a Fulbrighter, I guess, and as an, English language fellow, I'm obviously very, very biased in this thinking, I guess, because I've lived it. But I do think it's really worthwhile. I think that I have come back to the United States as a much better person because of my experiences abroad. It has given me a whole different, and you can attest to this as someone who's lived abroad, it gives you a whole different appreciation on the life you have.
Yeah, but I had no sort of sense of diplomacy, at that point.
Well, right. But see, you weren't, like, for example, with the Fulbright and with the fellowship, we've talked about it on the podcast before. I was kind of a representative of the United States. You know, for some people, I was the first American they ever met.
Did anyone ever say that to you before you went there? Like, you're going to be representing the United States of America.
Of course they tell you that, but it is kind of true. You know, in a lot of ways. I mean, especially if you, I think more on a professional capacity, but also on a personal one, you don't obviously want to bring a bad reputation.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean that's a big responsibility. Yeah. There's one other thing that I want to. You seem to do you read? You seem like you're pretty well informed, Chad. You know,
sometimes
you definitely seem like you're better informed than me. I'll put it that way.
I don't know about that.
I'm Twitter informed. You know, like I can tell you of the latest.
You're talking to a meme news guy, man. Come on now. Come on.
But I can give you the latest and greatest jokes about Herman Cain's death. But I don't follow a lot of like hard hitting news. But I wanted to ask you if you've heard about this whole closing of the post office thing, or this attempt to close the post office.
Yeah, it's terrible. Thing. It's terrible. I think a lot of this seems like it's cronyism.
Do you know what that? I don't know what that is.
You don't know what cronyism is?
I know the term. Like I've heard the term before.
Right.
But I don't know.
So
really
let me explain it to our listeners, because I bet you there are a lot of people. It's kind of a weird word. So cronyism basically means
like
that
people and their cronies, you know.
People, yeah. So people. So if I'm in a position of power and say Jared and I are both doing what's the right term here, Jared? We're doing undesirable or, not
nefarious.
Nefarious. That's a great word. Nefarious things, just bad things, right? And something happens to Jared or something happens to me, and I help him out or he helps me out, but it's not necessarily very legal or very maybe righteous or moral. So cronyism basically means that, you help out your cronies. You help out your.
So it's kind of like American politics, essentially. It's like
it's
corruption.
Sort of it's corruption is what it really boils down to, I would say.
Yeah, I get you. Where it's like if you, okay.
But it exists everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere.
I guess so. That
human
sounds
nature,
like what American politics is, really.
Right. Right.
I mean, at least probably other politics too. But as far as I,
if you just look what has happened with some of the people who have gone to jail and have now since been released.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You know, so
one of those guys, he went to a restaurant, and he broke his bail.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me one bit. But Jared, I think
bro, you're out of prison.
I think we should
spread a little love,
because I have a couple really good shout-outs today. My first one goes out to a New Orleans musician. Who this sounds very American, Jared. New Orleans musician offers kids trumpets in exchange for their guns.
That's not a fair trade. I don't know. That's a good trade.
I feel like the trumpet guy's losing out. Trumpets aren't cheap. They really aren't.
Are they like? Yeah, I guess so. I think of though in New Orleans. I never think of. It's so funny. I never think of like a. There's such like I didn't even think of like a quality trumpet just because there's such a huge street music scene,
right?
And there's such a huge like children playing very good street music,
right?
But like it's like that trumpet looks like it's just like a coil from a washer machine that they turned into an instrument.
Exactly. Yeah, but this is pretty crazy. So New Orleans trumpeter Shamar Allen wanted to find a way to get guns out of kids' hands. So he did what he does best, which is music. So he created this. It's called Trumpet Is My Weapon, which I think is kind of a cool name for an organization. And I think this is really amazing. And so far, he has collected 4 guns that he's turned over to police. Now, some of you who may be listening may be thinking, oh, it's only 4 guns. Who knows what those 4 guns could have prevented?
Yeah. That's just the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. And he says he also has a 9-year-old son. So really put it into perspective for him. Right. And look, I mean, guns are a big problem in the United States. And I think any way that I'm not saying that we should outlaw guns or ban guns, because I do think they have a place. I mean, my family hunts. I think there's a right and a wrong time for guns, and a lot of times guns are too accessible for many people, especially children.
Yeah. And that's a large. That is actually a large percentage of gun violence, not even like children committing quote unquote gun violence, but like children getting a hold of like their parents' guns and stuff too.
Right.
Like there's been a bunch of stories of like someone was just some kid just in the back seat of their parents' car got their gun, and now there's an incident happening.
Right.
That's good though. I like that stuff.
Yeah.
And I like New Orleans, and it is a dangerous place, and it kind of bums me out because I have family that lives close to there.
Right. So this is what's crazy about the story though, Jared. So a lot of so people don't understand that he said so Shamar Allen said people don't understand that kids are trying and wanting to do other things, but there's nothing for them to do, meaning like I'm assuming like gang violence, getting involved with guns and all sorts of stuff like that. For his very first exchange, Allen collected a fully loaded gun from a young girl. He said it opened his mind. For his very first I would never suspect she would have had a gun, and she was most excited about getting a trumpet. Hopefully she didn't go steal Daddy's gun to get a trumpet.
Actually, I'd kind of be okay with that too.
That's actually you're right. You're right.
However you get the guns.
Right. He also gave her contact information of local musicians who volunteered to give kids free music lessons, which is awesome.
I love that.
Really amazing. Yeah,
I love that.
So yeah, I think this is just super awesome. And he has raised, just in case you're curious, Jared, he has raised $26,000 for music supplies, and people have donated instruments as well. So I wish,
dude, my trumpet's still in Louisiana.
I wish there
should
was
I donate my trumpet?
You should, dude. If you're not going to play it, honestly,
I feel like I should.
You should. We should find out how to donate that.
I mean, I could probably take it somewhere because I'll be there at some point.
Right. Yeah, interesting. I wish they had more info though, because I would be happy to even just give like a $20, $25 donation.
I'm sure you could do that if you find the website or something.
I want to, because I think this is great. All right, I have one more shout out though, and because I think this one also is very important for a lot of our American listeners out there right now. So I don't know if you know about this, Jared, but some people, we've been talking about defunding the police for quite some time now, right? And I think a lot of people, when they hear that, they assume we're saying get rid of police officers. That's not what we're saying. We're saying allocate money and resources to other things that might be more helpful to different communities, which I think is pretty
their
clear.
responsibilities because they have a lot of
all the things we
traffic
expect.
stops. And, Yeah. Better focus their needs.
Exactly. And so a town in Kentucky has actually hired a social worker instead of hiring more police officers. And what they have found has been really interesting, Jared. They found that arrests have gone down. Repeat arrests and offenses, it seems like people aren't calling in as much again, which I think goes to show you that having someone who has a different mindset and educational background and knowledge and skill set really could do a lot of good for a lot of different communities.
And even just like the what it means when a police officer shows up versus someone just in normal clothes or in like a polo and some khakis.
Right.
It's just like there's already a level of tension that's and that's built off the bat with a lot of these people when you're being approached by an officer of some sort.
Well, I mean, think about it. It's intimidating. You usually have usually, not always, but you generally have a man, sometimes a bigger dude with a gun on him.
All sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
and then it's like
taser.
And it's like now it can go to a level. Like now the only thing is we're introducing the potential for a level that it never even has to get close to.
Right.
And
right.
And there's so many situations that it gets to that whatever that level is, and it's like, how did this start? It's like this started with the smallest thing, and now it somehow escalated all the way to having to kill someone or something or injure someone.
I really don't understand the mentality of why we need military grade equipment for police officers. And for the people out there who say, well, criminals, yes, I get that criminals and people will still be getting illegal, probably still military grade stuff. But I think if you limit the access of it and you regulate it better, I mean, if you look at other countries, they don't seem to have the problems we do.
And I honestly wonder how often are police officers getting in shootouts that weren't started by them?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I honestly wonder how often that I'd just be interested to see that stat. I don't know the answer.
Right. And
it's like,
I wonder if you could even get reliable information on that.
I bet you couldn't. I
Right.
mean, how
Probably not.
many shooting incidents is there some sort of lie where it's like they
Right.
shot first or I felt threatened?
Right.
I thought,
Well, yeah,
I mean,
you're always going to try to protect your back. You know?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. But anyways, I think this is great.
Yeah.
So in Kentucky,
I've seen that also a lot of schools have been getting rid of their
Yep.
police
Yep.
resource
we
officers,
had
as
we
they
had
call them.
we had one or two in my high school. They were actually nice guys. They were both kind of old fat dudes, kind of your stereotypical
Not really,
Chief Wiggum from The Simpsons kind of.
not really an intimidating character.
Right, and they were nice guys. But I mean, yeah, I think social workers. First of all, there are, if I remember correctly, a degree in social work is still a pretty prevalent. Like we have a lot of people getting degrees in social work.
Yeah.
And so I think this would be a good use, and I think we'll see. Hopefully, other states follow suit, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and social workers are already extremely underappreciated, especially for the amount of education that goes into it.
Yeah, getting a master's in social work is no breeze.
Only to be in a pretty underappreciated position.
Right. But yeah, so and in case people are curious about what a social worker might be able to do, social workers tend to handle more domestic violence, mental health, and substance abuse type of things. Whereas police can deal with the traffic violations.
I don't even think you need police for traffic violations.
Just
I feel
cameras?
Like,
Cameras
I feel
everywhere,
like either
Jared?
cameras or even like we have like the parking meter people, but
Okay.
like for traffic.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe
But would that
I'm-
be a branch of the police? Yeah, I don't know.
I
Anyways,
don't know. I mean,
shout
police
out.
is just a word. You can call it something else.
That's also true.
But these people also don't need to have guns, is what I'm saying.
Right.
And so yeah, or just cameras too.
Exactly. But anyway, shout out to Shamar Allen for the trumpets for weapons. Trumpet is a weapon initiative. And also shout out to that police station in Alexandria, Kentucky for employing a social worker instead of a police officer. I think that's an interesting strategy.
Dude, I agree.
Well, should we get into our untranslatables, my man?
Betcha. Let's
Let me scoot this so I see. Now we can cheat, Jared, because I can fully see your screen. So to our viewers on YouTube, sorry if we're turning away from each other. It's not that we want to, but yeah. So, anyways, untranslatables are idioms, phrases, axioms, adverbs, proverbs, all sorts of different sayings that don't translate one to one easily in English. And I am going to get us started today, Jared, with I have two more Brazilian Portuguese. I've been on a Brazilian Portuguese kick because it's a beautiful language. And my first one is manteiga derretida. And it means melted butter. And I'm sure I mispronounced that, but melted butter.
Melted butter. I don't even know where to begin. Is this like is it just like perfect? Is like or like everything? It's like kind of peanut butter and jelly. It's like this is just
No, we use this to describe a person. It's a type of
melted
person.
butter. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Someone is like that's like their personality trait.
Yeah, I would
Is
say
it
so.
like they're easily manipulate? Like people, they're easy to manipulate.
Maybe not necessarily.
Melted butter.
Is it easy or difficult to melt butter?
It's easy to melt butter.
Okay.
So they're easy to manipulate.
They're not easy to manipulate. They do
easy-
something else easily.
They're easy to be taught.
What do you do when you're sad?
They cry easily.
So it means to be very sensitive or cry easily. Or there's a second meaning. If you are melted butter, it also means you can have a soft or gentle heart.
Okay. But
But I think those
hear
have
it.
two
Yeah, that
slightly
makes
different
sense.
meanings, you know?
Yeah,
The devil's in
sure.
the details, but yeah.
But yeah, I get that. Okay. My first untranslated. I have another. I'm going to do another Cantonese one, but not for my first
Ooh,
one. I have
good. I'm
another.
excited.
I have another Indonesian one for you, and not another. This is the first one I've done. I have an Indonesian one for you, and it's jam karet, and it means rubber clock. Rubber clock. Jam karet. Rubber clock.
Is it when you have a lot of free time? Time doesn't matter?
Time doesn't matter, but for a different reason.
Rubber clock.
So time doesn't matter in almost this sort of offensive way, I would say.
Like you're taking too long.
What
Too
happens when
slow.
what happens when you take too long or you're too slow?
People get upset.
What happens to you if you're taking too long and you're too slow and you're supposed to
You lose focus?
no,
I don't know.
you're late. to always be late.
Oh, interesting.
Rubber clock is someone who's always late.
That's funny. Okay, I like that one. Rubber clock. Speaking of the untranslatable little theme song here or something.
Do you ever occasionally want to like roundhouse kick that off the wall?
I'm just used to it now. I'm just used to it.
Yeah, no, me too. It's fun. I
right.
like it.
All right, I got this one is a good one. And this one I think is an important one to keep in mind with soft diplomacy. So this one is also Brazilian Portuguese. So I apologize if I mispronounce it. Here we go. Falou pouco, mas falou bosta, which means spoke little but spoke shit.
Spoke little but spoke shit. Spoke little. Where it's like they don't say much but they have nothing positive. No.
You're close. You're close.
I mean,
they don't say much. You're right about that.
And they're always negative. It's like a no.
Nope, they don't say much, but even what they do say is enough to.
It's enough. It's they don't say much, but it's cutting. It's like they're the man of few words, but those words are mighty, kind of thing.
I wouldn't say they're mighty words.
Man of few words, but those words are stupid.
Yeah. So basically, it's when a few comments are enough to show someone's ignorance or stupidity.
Yeah.
So you only
there's a lot of that happening on social media. You're showing
kidding.
yourself. You're showing your ass, as they say on
Right.
social media.
Right.
Yeah, or you're exposing yourself. All right, I have one. Let's do one Cantonese one. Yao chin.
Do you have it with the tones written? Can you send that to me?
Actually, I can just I can even do this where I can cut off the. Here it is. I cut off. It's this one at the very bottom.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I cut off
what
it means.
Okay, so that's I think that's a rising tone. So
Do you want me to zoom in for you or something?
Yes, please, a little bit.
No.
Don't be showing me. Don't be showing me.
I don't have an easy touch. There you go. There you go. That's perfect.
So, Yao Chin Sai Dak Guai Toi Mo.
What do you think that means?
I have no idea. No idea.
That means if you have money, you can make a ghost push a millstone. Okay, well that's easy. But I really just want to show you the picture.
if you have a lot of money, you can do whatever.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Which is also very true. Look at that.
Oh, that's funny. That's a good.
It's
picture.
literally a ghost making. What is it? Milling a human? Is that what's happening in that picture?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I wonder if that's just from the top panel. Like they drew it in like a.
This is the same thing.
I wonder. Maybe.
Interesting.
Art is in the eye of the beholder, Jared.
We'll never see what we're talking about, but very interesting.
That is a cool website, though.
I love them.
Give me one more Cantonese one, Jared.
I just closed it, but I can open it. It's easy. I have the link right here.
A beauty of hyperlinks.
I'm always prepared. See, that was quick. Here, read this one at the bottom. Let me zoom in first. Right there.
Okay. Yep. I see it. Guai Wakfa. Guai Wakfa.
I love how you're looking at me like I'm going to tell you whether it's
Guai Wakfa, I think.
A ghost draws a talisman, illegible scribble. Oh.
So it's like my handwriting, basically.
Yeah. A ghost draws a talisman. What is a talisman? Do you know?
Isn't it I'm not really sure. I've heard it before in like old books. What is a talisman?
An object, typically an inscribed ring or stone that is thought to have magic power. It's like one of these big old amulets.
Yeah, it's like an amulet. Interesting.
The
cool.
magical amulet.
That's right. We should get some untranslatable amulets. That would be pretty cool.
I
don't even know where to begin, but yeah.
We can sell them on QVC.
Yep. Etsy,
this
Pinterest.
Is a beautiful amulet.
That's right.
Filled with lots of secrets and untranslatables.
What kind of talismans would we have in there, Jared?
Like something. I like a green ruby of some sort. Or what do you call it? A sapphire?
Well,
we
need something that promotes soft diplomacy in a way, because I feel like that is kind of a side goal of our podcast.
Well, that's why I like green. I think green's a very diplomatic color. I feel like red.
What about greens and blues?
Red's too aggressive. Blue is almost a little too. Blue is okay because blue's kind of a passive color.
What about green, blue, red, and then another color?
Like a flag? Are we talking about a flag here?
Maybe. Ooh, an untranslatable flag would be kind of cool.
We already kind of have one.
Oh, I mean, we have a logo.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be different.
A logo is not a flag; different. It's a logo. I mean, but
well, so oh my gosh, do you picture us attempting soft diplomacy here on the Untranslatable podcast in our own little way?
For sure, absolutely. I think we try. Like
we have
all
an
jokes aside.
Audience.
Yeah. Number one, we have an international audience. Number two, I think we try to promote, language learning, culture,
travel.
I think tolerance as well, and trying to be understanding of other people. I know we do make jokes and tease, but I think at the end of the day, we tend to.
You can see our hearts. Our hearts are melted butter, really.
That's true.
Well,
that is true. Yeah. Well, sometimes I haven't cried in a while. Actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
I think the last. Yeah, it's been a while.
Is that surprising for you because you're a light crier? Or is it easy for you to cry?
I'm not necessarily a light crier, but I'm not one of those people that can not cry for sure.
Right. Yeah. I haven't cried in a while outside of maybe some movie or something. But I don't really count a movie cry. Sometimes those feel a little cheap,
Okay. Yeah. They're pulling on your heartstrings. They get you where it hurts.
It's almost kind of like when you watch like a slapstick movie,
and you're laughing at everything.
Yeah, it's like, but it's so ridiculous that how can you not laugh? It's like, well, this is they're kind of forcing you to cry.
Sure.
When you became when you were planning to become a teacher in college or whatever, did you sort of have this idea of soft diplomacy in your head as an aspect of why you wanted to do it?
No, for me it was always just I had an intrinsic motivation to just connect with people from different cultures and countries and share my experience and learn from their experiences. But I think
that was your personality in high school too. We talked about like you were always the first one to
befriend all the foreign exchange students.
Exactly, yeah. So I guess it's just naturally in you then.
I guess so, yeah. I've always been just curious. I think a lot of it is curiosity, but I think soft diplomacy is a way to kind of curb your curiosity. You can make great connections with people, learn a lot about different cultures, different places.
Is soft diplomacy now a class, or is it something that came up in college or grad school?
So the first time I honestly had ever heard the term was probably when I was actually in Prague for the orientation for my Fulbright. And we had the attaché of the embassy, which is like a pretty high up position at the embassy, come and talk to us.
That's a cool name, attaché.
Yeah. Really nice guy. And actually, he was in China before. A lot of these foreign service officers, they go from one place to another. And I mean, if you want to talk about soft diplomacy, I mean, these people really understand the value of a Fulbright English teaching assistant or of a Peace Corps volunteer or of an English language fellow, and it's really something to know and understand and see that you do have support from some of these, higher entities, which is really great because I really think if we want to make a big impact around the world, I don't think it's done. I mean, yes, obviously you can fight a war, but I don't think that actually is going to accomplish what, is really going to be good for anybody. I think in war, almost everybody is the loser, even the winners, the amount of stuff you can lose. And so soft diplomacy, I think, is really important to bridge gaps between cultures, understand, if I have a better understanding of another culture and they understand my culture better, we should be able to, in theory, this is all in theory, we should be able to communicate and get along with one another better.
Yeah, it's slow, though. It's not as fast as just bombing someone. Right. That gets the message across a lot faster than soft diplomacy, Chad.
True.
But maybe not the message that we would want to be shared. I find it interesting that you've taken classes aimed at language teaching specifically, right? I find it interesting that the topic of soft diplomacy wouldn't come up in those classes, or the idea of it.
Well, some of that could have just been my, as the Germans say, Bildungslücke, my little education gap or information gap, where it could have just been something, I was so focused on learning about, research in second language acquisition in German studies. I think if I would have studied international relations or something like that, then I would have been exposed to this idea of soft diplomacy much sooner.
Sure.
I think I always kind of had an inkling of what it was before I knew what the term was called.
Sure. Yeah, like you had an idea.
Even since high school.
Like even before you went to your, I'm guessing, even before you went to your orientation in Czech Republic, I'm sure you had an idea of this sort of representation of America, even though you weren't, it's not like, oh, this is my soft diplomatic duty.
Right. That wasn't how I viewed it. I viewed it more as this is an opportunity for other people to get an understanding of American culture through the lens of an authentic American. I'll say enjoy. I'm not going to say enjoyed. It's not past tense. It's just on pause your soft diplomatic work.
Oh, shit, now I forgot what I was gonna say.
It's actually not on pause.
I guess so. You're always kind of doing something.
Yeah. It's not on pause because I'll be teaching at my old university in China.
Right.
And that is a soft diplomatic mission.
That's
and I
true.
think right now it's really important, as we've mentioned, the whole relations between China and the United States deteriorating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why soft diplomacy is so important. I think it allows us to try to keep the peace as long as we can.
Yeah.
Because
I remember what I was going to say. I enjoyed the questions that you would get from students a lot, and I that was a fun part of this, and it was that you were like that was their outlet to American culture or whatever. A lot of them were kind of these culture based questions or whatever,
Right.
And it's like that was it. It's like, all right, now that's what they think is the answer,
Right.
And it's like you're now answering for them.
Well, a lot of times too, with anything culturally related, we really can only scratch the surface, right? Even in your classes in college, unless you are going to become an anthropologist or sociologist or really research something in depth, culture is such a complex thing. You know, culture is
Sure.
one of those weird things that you know what it is, but you can't touch it. You know, I mean, in some ways you can, right? Like you can touch food from a culture that they make, but you know, culture is this abstract kind of thing. But that's the great thing about soft diplomacy is you get to learn about all these different values and how other places work. And I think that really helps with figuring out how we can work together instead of thinking about what can I get from you, but what can we work towards together.
Sure. Yeah, learning from one another. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's so funny too because especially here, like I'm in the corporate world, and there's all this sort of teamwork talk in any sort of company. It's all this teamwork stuff. These aspects to what makes a great team. But that's not really how we think. I feel like in a global scale, at least a lot of
Right.
Let me put it this way: that's not a big part of our American culture.
Definitely
I should
not.
say,
Well,
is that sort of team? Like the team is us, not with anyone outside of us.
I think a lot of people also look at globalism as kind of a dirty word. Some
Yeah.
people, and really, if you think about
What
it,
is globalism?
I
Because
mean-
I hear about it on Twitter, but when I hear about it on Twitter, the people are like calling Bill Gates a globalist or something like that. Would that make any sense?
I'm not really sure what that
Okay.
means. To me,
Maybe it's not him.
right? To me, globalism is just the entire world. You know, we get different things and from different places, right? So even
it's
if
just like the entire world coexisting and
working together.
I gotcha,
yeah,
I gotcha.
having different trade agreements, different working together. Exactly. Yeah, building things.
How do you feel about the idea of globalism? Is that the point of soft diplomacy? Is globalism?
I think so. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, and the problem is I think a lot of people view globalism and soft diplomacy as a way to get rid of culture. But I think it's really not getting rid of culture, but it's just sharing culture.
Sure. Yeah. No. Of course. But I feel like people. Yeah. It kind of bums me out because I feel like there's such a large swath of the United States that I feel like finds the idea of that to be kind of like laughable.
Right. Well, I think some of it too is there are a lot of Americans who will probably never leave America.
Yeah. Or like the take your jobs kind of thing.
Right.
I feel like there's probably some of that too.
Yeah, I don't know if the numbers back up those types
Okay.
of sentiments.
Maybe not. That's fair.
But I think the whole the whole point of soft diplomacy is to build a good relationship, build a good mutual relationship with other countries and people. Because I've learned a lot from the Chinese colleagues I met and the Czech colleagues I met that I can bring back here, and ideally, when I'm teaching or working with students in the U.S., I can do a better job because of it.
Mm-hmm. Do you think twice about criticizing the U.S.?
No. I think that's one of the most American things to do is to criticize the U.S.
Oh, okay. At least
Yeah, we should be critical of our own countries.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are many great things about the United States.
But for example, when I remember you and Zach talking about like in China, if you're criticizing, it's not uncommon to be like, then leave.
Yep.
So maybe if they hear you criticizing the U.S. I don't know. They'd be like,
what will they tell me? Go back to your country?
I'm not going to say they're going to tell you to leave. But maybe they're going to be like, I mean, well, why would we respect a country like that kind of thing?
Right.
You know.
Well, I think a lot of it boils down to different political ideologies and ideologies of what is a good life, a proper way to live. Depending on what country you're from, it might be seen as you should be living with your parents and helping them out into their old age, right? I know a lot of Americans who don't do that because they feel that their parents or family members can be provided better care at like a nursing facility, right? This isn't really a matter of what's right and what's wrong. It's just a matter of what's different, right?
That's true.
I think soft diplomacy, on a very deep philosophical level, one of the points is to try to bridge this gap and try to build some type of mutual understanding, because at the end of the day, we might have cultural differences, but we're still people. We still love our families. We still, have to eat. We still have to put clothes on our back, a roof over our head. I know this is sounding very hippy-dippy right now, but it's true. It's my own experience abroad. That's really what I've seen and experienced.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like the shared experience of everyone trying to survive is not, you can't really change that.
No.
Yeah, that's fair.
And ideally build a better life.
Yeah.
I think that resonates with anyone from anywhere. I don't care what country, what city you're from, rich or poor. I think everyone wants a better life for themselves and their countrymen, their countrywomen, everybody. You know?
But I think there's also a lot of personalities that believe only a certain amount of people can get that. Like it's not attainable for everyone.
Well, it depends on what your view of happiness is. If your view of happiness is becoming a millionaire, then sure, not everyone can be a millionaire. But if honestly, man, like would I mind being a millionaire? Of course not. I would love to be a millionaire. At the same time,
the way we talk when off mic, it sounds like you have goals to make money.
I do. I definitely do have goals to make money. But I'm not also dead set. The goals to make money are to hopefully provide for a better future. The goal isn't just to make money. I think money is just a way to meet some of those goals. Anyways,
right.
My whole point was I know plenty of people that I met in Asia that grew up not having very much, and I can tell you they seem a hell of a lot happier than a lot of Americans I know that have a giant ass house, 2 really nice cars, making a 6-figure salary, and they're miserable. They're fat. They're lazy. Well, they're not lazy. I guess they put all their energy and effort into their work life, and they have no other life outside of that.
It's starting to feel a little personal, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
sure.
You're not fat. You're not lazy. I try to get you to come here to do the podcast, so you're not always working 24/7, 365.
So chunky, lazy.
Kind of like that bear I sent you a picture of.
Yeah, that really is how I look at sitting at my desk all day. So when you heard that term in your orientation,
in the Czech Republic,
soft diplomacy, did you ever think to start using it in interviews? Have you brought it up in interviews?
I haven't, but I think
in some of these jobs, not only am I interested in, obviously
teaching and learning, but
I'm also interested in using some of my soft diplomacy skills to.
Ooh, I like that. I need to start using that
to better
serve,
to better
whatever,
help,
the community,
educate the cultural aspect
right.
of
right. I should start using that. I guess I never have, but
soft diplomacy sounds like a good academic term.
It does. I use other terms: intercultural competence, intercultural communication. Stuff like that. But honestly, soft diplomacy, it's but I also wonder if everyone is on the same page when you say that. When I say intercultural communication or intercultural competence, most people in the fields where I work know exactly what that means.
Yeah.
Or at least there's 2 or 3 definitions.
So it's like you don't use the term soft diplomacy, but you use all the terms that kind of explain what soft diplomacy is. Right,
because that's what I think soft diplomacy tries, that's one of the goals is to build some intercultural competence. So you go to another country and you're not offending everybody because you're handing them everything with your left hand, or you go somewhere and you walk around with your dirty shoes inside someone's house and then they never invite you over ever again because in that culture you take off your shoes before you go inside. It's little things like this that are very small and very subtle, but make a very big difference, I think.
Have you thought about ways to get into has the idea of being like a diplomatic, not a diplomat per se,
like a foreign service
but
officer.
have you thought of considered ways of going less towards teacher and more towards just the diplomatic part of
foreign service?
Soft diplomat.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
What does foreign service people do? I feel like a real idiot this episode.
Foreign service officers are people who work at embassies and consulates.
Okay, so the ambassador is like the head person or something like that.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you have your attaché, and you have all sorts of different. I mean, if you just Google foreign service, but it's not easy to become a foreign service officer.
We talked about this, haven't we? Because there's like a long test.
Yeah, it's a test, and the test is just all sorts of random stuff from the last like 30, 40, 50 years.
Oh, the history?
It's history.
From
it's all
around
sorts
the
of random
world?
stuff. Yeah, it's. They'll ask you like, why did the blah 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 do the blah blah
It's
blah?
like a Jeopardy
coup?
game or something.
Basically, yeah. It's really wild. But anyways, and most people don't pass the first time. Usually, it takes 2 or 3 times to, and it's a test and an interview. Anyways, I have thought about it.
But it's good living. I've heard you.
Well, it is and it isn't. The first couple of years of your foreign service work, you are probably in a very difficult country to work in. Usually they do that to kind of test and see how rugged you are.
Okay.
So they'll send you somewhere where you're in kind of a developing country where you
Some
might
low levels of danger to medium levels of danger.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And you might have running water and stuff at your house, but it's not commonplace everywhere. And you might have power outages. You might have terrible internet. There's a lot of things you got to deal with. So I've thought about it, but right now I just enjoy teaching so much that I can't imagine doing that. Who knows though, dude? Ask me when I'm in my 40s and maybe I'll have a different.
Do people start that late?
Oh yeah, a lot of people do.
Okay.
You can start anytime.
So all you have to do is
take the test.
Oh, but then you still have to get
and then
hired.
the interview.
Okay. It's not like you take the test and you're most likely going to get a job.
Yeah, you take the test, you do the interview, and then I think they I don't know if they give you one option. I don't really know how the actual process works. But I had friends in grad school actually 3 friends in grad school that applied and failed the test, and since they've just been doing other work.
I like I like that job, the idea of that job. But I guess I don't know what a foreign service person does.
Right.
But I like the idea of building bonds in different countries,
Right. Well, for example, I can tell you what some of them do in China.
Okay.
Because I have more experience with that than the Czech Republic. But in China, actually in a lot of these countries, especially with fellowships and things like this, the Access program is a big one. So the Access program is basically schools that are underprivileged that need help. They need teacher training. They need a better understanding of different resources, proper practices in teaching and different approaches and blah, 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 right? So that's one big one, is to do that. Another really big one is usually some type of, like you see events and fundraisers for different things, donating to different, building projects or stuff like this. And those can also be really good ways to connect people together. And to me, it doesn't seem very invasive. It doesn't seem very forced. It seems more natural.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there also I guess I've done some, is like a nonprofit stuff. Is that soft diplomacy too?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, when I think of diplomacy, I assume it would have to be between different countries, but maybe not.
Like on a government level?
Right.
Yes. Okay.
But maybe not. Maybe we need to expand our minds on what diplomacy should be or what diplomacy means.
But the idea of soft diplomacy in your head is a specific job that's part of the focus is building some sort of relationship with
between different countries.
Right. Okay.
Or could even be, I guess, different states. I don't know. I mean, Michigan and Ohio don't particularly get along very well. Maybe we need some soft diplomacy.
Do we need that? I wonder.
Probably not.
I wonder if we could do but there is probably like a north-south or like north-south, like the Midwest.
Oh, for sure.
There could probably be some diplomacy done there.
Oh yeah.
Like especially I don't know, like the Northeast versus like the South or something,
right?
Or like the West Coast versus the South,
or the East and West.
Coast.
Yeah, we had the rap battles in the '90s, right?
Yeah, I don't think that's still been settled. I think we still need to figure this out, talk this out.
Right.
Oh God, I ran out of battery.
Uh-oh.
That's okay. Anyway, let's keep going.
All right. So yeah, soft diplomacy. I think it's. But I think the U.S. I wish the U.S. put more money into soft diplomacy. Because I think it would serve the country a lot better in the long run. It may not have the same, I don't want to use the term returns because that's not the right word, but it just doesn't have the same impact or influence as, other methods that the U.S. meddles while they're abroad.
What What sort of forms what sort of soft diplomatic forms do you think would be good to invest in? I mean, teaching abroad one of them?
Teaching, medical stuff. Obviously, right now it's a little difficult with the current situation, just traveling in general. But I think providing medical aid to different countries is another really good one. Also, help with research, science, infrastructure is very important as well. I know there were some Fulbright scholars in the Czech Republic while I was there that were doing some research actually on some invasive insects in the Czech Republic that were damaging the some of the forests and the trees and the wildlife. So stuff like this. So basically ways to, if country A has certain number of resources, or maybe they have really intelligent scientists or doctors or whatever, right?
Sure.
They send a few of those every year to go train and teach and help and work with people from a country that doesn't have those resources. Then they learn how to do it. Hopefully, over time, they can become more sustainable on their own, and then that need goes away. So that's why the Peace Corps is not in every country in the world, because there are a lot of countries where that need just simply isn't there.
Sure.
And then you can reach diplomacy by doing other things, like having a sister city. To be honest, I don't even really know what that means, Jared, to have a brother or sister city. But from my understanding, a sister city, they do some type of exchange, which once again, an exchange would be a type of soft diplomacy.
Is the UN like a form of like a soft diplomacy agency? They do some hard diplomacy too, don't they?
Probably.
But
I bet you their fingers and toes are in both. I bet you. I would be willing to bet.
I mean, I've seen movies. I've definitely seen movies where, like Hotel Rwanda, I believe, where UN soldiers. There are UN soldiers like that.
Right.
I think that's a thing. But is the UN like a soft diplomacy agency, or is that part of what they do? Is like
I think so. Yeah, I think it's
like
supposed
deploying
to be
different.
peacekeeping yeah. Do they help with like health and stuff like that too around the world?
I think so. I feel like
so
they
I would
do.
say so. Then I would say so.
I feel like they just go to like nations that are in need of some sort of immediate, efforts and help and safety in times of distress.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. So
Okay.
in that regard, I would say yeah, for sure.
Chad, I
definitely.
learned a lot this episode.
Well, good. I'm glad, Jared. I'm really glad, and I think soft diplomacy is a really great thing. I think it needs to be brought to the attention of way more people.
Oh, do you have any more ideas of where we could?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. So in the future, I hope there will be more government help and funding for programs like Fulbright, English language fellowships. I believe Doctors Without Borders would be another one that I would probably consider.
What about
soft diplomacy?
What about more? Now, I don't know if there's already a lot of this, but ways to get like people to go to college in the U.S. or something.
Well, I think that's a good idea. Well, once again, Fulbright does that.
But I'm even like
Brings
this
students
way?
here.
Okay,
yeah, that's
okay.
what usually Fulbright brings students. Actually, no, it works both ways. Now that I
Okay.
think about it, yeah, it works both ways because you could apply for a research grant and go research in Germany or something. Same, they could come here.
Okay.
So yeah, but I think there should be some other more common ones too, because look, not everyone will be able to get a Fulbright or a fellowship or Doctors Without Borders. Even someone who goes to medical school and does all the right things, sometimes just the cards aren't, you don't have the right cards in your deck, I guess.
But there's a whole bunch of different ones. Like that's
Right. But I think the problem is a lot of people are unaware of these. Like,
I'm unaware of them too. I just know that there are
right.
a bunch of them.
I'm also unaware of a lot of them. Outside of academia, I couldn't really tell you very much about
Yeah.
them. But I think that's the problem. I think it shouldn't, people should have more awareness of some of these opportunities, because I just look at where my life is at right now. And I am so thankful and so grateful for all these great opportunities I've had abroad and how I've been able to learn about soft diplomacy, kind of see how it works. Because I think at the end of the day, we all tend to want, like I've said, kind of the same stuff. And so soft diplomacy is a great way to just bring people together. And I've been so lucky, got to go to Mongolia and had people show me around and teach me about Mongolian culture a little bit. And it was really amazing.
Especially since, at least from the way you put it, it seems like people are very excited to show you this stuff.
Right. What picture we should put for the soft diplomacy one?
What's that?
I sent you a long time ago when I was in Mongolia, that picture of me giving a short little speech at the reception.
Short little speech.
I'll find it and send it to you. Yeah. But that was and actually we met the ambassador briefly of Mongolia. He was a super cool guy.
The ambassador of Mongolia. So
He was the American. He was
American guy that is the ambassador for America in Mongolia.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
And he thanked us too, and he said, we really. And
How
I know,
old was he? Do you think?
Probably in his late 50s, early 60s.
Okay.
Would be my guess. Really nice guy. And it was funny. All the other guys, it was weird. All the other guys were wearing a tie. I wasn't wearing a tie, and he wasn't wearing a tie. So
it's a good
kind of
sign.
gave him a little sup. I supped him. But anyways,
You don't scare me.
Super nice guy. But he even understood, the value of it. And he said, we really thank you because, there were, I think, 15 China fellows that came to Mongolia and did workshops and did all
Weird
this
way
stuff.
to put it, but I hear what you're saying.
Right.
China fellows sounds weird to me.
Oh, okay. American fellows that were stationed in China.
Fellow, you mean that's
English
like the
language
fellowship?
fellows. Yeah,
I thought you
fellows.
meant like a person.
No.
I was like, this is a weird
English
way to put
teachers. Let me put it that way,
okay.
Jared. Yeah, English teachers that
The
were on a fellowship
fellowship
in China.
Are there? You
Correct.
call the people in the fellowship fellows.
A fellow, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, and I just have seen firsthand, just the value that teachers can get. The value that I learned a lot from a lot of these Mongolian teachers. It's really interesting to see how teachers are able to be so resourceful with what they have and what they don't have. And it was really great to talk to these teachers and get their feedback. And
What countries do you think could use some English teaching soft diplomacy? What countries do you think are in need of a man like you to come in and save them?
I don't like that. A man like me coming in to save them. That sounds terrible. No,
It does.
I would say the countries that we should focus more soft diplomacy on. I'll put it that way, Jared. The countries
And
we should focus
teaching wise,
right? Or no, I just think in general.
Okay.
I think a lot of Eastern European countries could use it.
I think there's definitely a bad, like a very misguided and bad negative image of sort of Eastern European countries,
especially all the post-Soviet countries.
Yeah, they all have this sort of not a great reputation here in the U.S.
Yeah, they definitely don't. Which I don't understand. But I haven't been there, and that's kind of the way I view a lot of things, Jared. Is it's hard for me to make such a judgment call on a place if I've never been there myself.
And it also takes so long to change culture too. So like these differences that we have with certain countries do go back a certain ways. So like it kind of in my mind it shouldn't be expected at just like I don't know 40 years after the Cold War we'd all of a sudden just be cool
Right,
or
singing
whatever.
Kumbaya at the campfire. Right,
right.
That's not.
But we
realistic.
also kind of are with Germany in a weird way.
Right. Well, I think those relations have gotten worse too.
Yeah. Well, right now everything's out
most
the
of our
window.
but once again that shows the need for soft diplomacy, Jared. Depending on what happens with this next election,
I mean, the president is the ultimate soft diplomat.
yeah, ours is soft, isn't he? He's a little pudgy, but other than that,
he's a very soft diplomat.
Right. But yeah. Anyways, I think a lot of Eastern European countries, I think a lot of countries in Asia can benefit from, at least from teachers. I know that, not that I'm saying that teachers there aren't good. I think they're great.
Like which countries? What area? What are we talking about?
I think a lot of East Asian, Pacific, Southern Asia, I think they have amazing teachers. They're very passionate. They're very, they love what they do, but I don't know if they've been given the necessary tools when they were becoming teachers to teach effectively, efficiently, and so on. But it's also very easy for me to step on the outside and point fingers as well.
Yeah, as I hear you say that, I do kind of feel that it's like it's kind of odd to hear you say that in a weird way.
Right, it is. But at the same time, when you're still doing old grammar translations or you're reading books in your classes that nobody else reads anymore because they're outdated and it's not useful English.
It's ironic. We kind of do that here with history books and stuff. But
right, that's very true. Well, we have a lot in education we need to fix here in the States too.
That's true.
And hey, maybe we can get some soft diplomacy from like Sweden or Finland. Some of these countries that have great resources and great. But see, that's what I mean. Is the whole point of soft diplomacy, and once again, this sounds very hippy dippy, but to make the whole world a better place.
Could it be on like a local level? Could a public high school? I guess that does happen.
Why couldn't they? Yeah,
that happens all the time. There's foreign exchange programs and stuff like that.
Right.
But I was gonna say like a public high school team up with a different public. But that's just foreign exchange.
Yeah, they do
program.
that. Which once again, that's soft diplomacy.
Yeah, I guess so. And that's a government thing, technically, because
it's either a government or an organization. But
but like if it's at a public school, technically that's a government organization. Isn't
Usually
it?
it's through a group like Youth for Understanding or something like this.
Which teams up with a okay, but it's not organized by the school.
Right.
Gotcha.
I'm sure there are probably some countries that do that. Another really great soft diplomacy program, I forget the official title, but there and I thought about applying for this when I was actually going to graduate from Albion. with my undergrad in music was I forget the name of the program now, but there is a program where you can go and tour in other countries and play American music. So I could have gone and played jazz and blues in like Kyrgyzstan.
That sounds like a dream gig for you.
Yeah. And it's only for a few months, and I don't think the pay is very much.
Probably not.
But you don't do it for the pay. I mean,
that's an experience.
I didn't do the Fulbright for the pay. You know, I mean, you're not going to get, even the fellowship, you're not going to get rich. You know, I've put myself in a better financial position, but I'm by no means rich.
Right.
You know, and I try to live as frugally as I can for the most part, too, right now. So, but yeah, I think soft diplomacy is a way we can really push a lot of things forward. Not only for ourselves, but for other people.
I'm
so
with
that's why
you.
I think it's really great. And speaking of people working together, Jared, let's talk about the song of the pod today, which is called Mama Africa, which is Peter Tosh. And this is on YouTube through a channel called Playing for Change. We've actually featured at least one of their songs, maybe even two on our Song of the Pod playlist before. We've been doing this for a while, so I'm not...
Playing for Change. Oh, that was like the collective kind of thing.
And this is the same, Jared. So I'm going to play this, and we're going to talk through it real quick. I'm going to play this, and we're going to watch the video so Jared can see just all the different countries these musicians are coming from, because it's really cool. And this, in a way, is also soft diplomacy. So not to get too meta on today's episode, but...
Please, get meta.
So here we go. I'm hoping this will come out of here and not...
There we go.
Good. So we got our first guy here from Jamaica. I missed his name here. All right, then we got Donald Kinsey from Gary, Indiana, playing guitar. Not going to name everybody on here, but there's a bunch of
Are they all in the
musicians.
same location right now?
No, so they film it in different places.
Oh, so he's listening along.
He's in Mali,
too.
exactly.
I see his headphones on now.
Yep. Isn't it crazy how loud YouTube gets though through this audio interface?
And it's pretty low still. I love the idea of them all filming. She's from Mali. I missed her name. I love the idea of them all filming these from their location.
And you got a guy in Gary, Indiana, then Jamaica, then Mali, Jamaica. Andrew Tosh, which is I believe the son of Peter Tosh.
Where was this guy at?
Jamaica.
Okay.
South Africa. It's a cool guitar. That's actually a Swiss company that makes those, in case you're curious, Jared. But yeah, this is an awesome video. It's called Mama Africa, where they have musicians from all over the place singing together, playing together, and it's great to see how they layer it. It really sounds awesome.
Yeah. I mean, nothing brings people together better than music.
Right.
For sure.
And that's why I used music for a lot of my presentations, when I was in Mongolia or China, because, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, this is... Oh, and he's been in quite a few videos because this guy's voice is really...
Mermans Mosengo from Congo.
He's from Congo, yeah. He has a very distinctive voice.
Yeah, he does. Very powerful voice, too.
But yeah, I mean, it's your typical reggae song, but with all these different collaborations, it's super cool. And you see some traditional instruments from different countries.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. And
Yeah.
I kind of like the juxtaposition of these what seem to be sort of traditional instruments.
Right.
And then they have like these super high quality headphones on because they're obviously listening to
like
a
that guy's
recording while
guitar
they
is
do it.
easily over $1,000, and then you have someone with a handmade, washboard they're playing in some videos. Yeah, it's really something. Trenchtown, that's where I believe Peter Tosh and Bob Marley also, I don't know if they grew up in Trenchtown, but they definitely had a lot to do there. Then you see some of the traditional garb in Mali.
All right, I think we get the idea.
It's a cool song, has some good reggae vibes
and this
to
is
it.
a great song for soft diplomacy too. Good idea,
without
Chad.
a doubt. Without a doubt. So check that out on our Song of the Pod playlist, Mama Africa, written by Peter Tosh, and featuring tons of awesome musicians from all over the globe. Check that out, especially if you want some good reggae in your day.
Reggae in your day.
That's right. At Untranslatable Podcast on YouTube, so check that out. Anyways, to recap on soft diplomacy, now I'm not going to toot my own horn here, but I do think you did learn a lot today, Jared.
I did, actually.
I do think you did learn a lot today. I don't think I taught you. I think it was just through us having a good conversation.
It's just, I think a lot of it was just stuff that I never really thought about before.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. It's so easy, things that are right in front of your eyes sometimes that you never really think about. Even when we were in Vienna, if we did anything with others to volunteer, right? Especially if it's like American culture related, I would say that's like a very soft diplomatic thing to do.
Yeah.
And it can be fun. I wonder, So speaking of the exchange, right? Soft diplomacy, as I've talked about, goes back and forth, right? So I used to also do presentations here in the U.S. with kids about German culture. So I wonder if that's also another type of...
Are you allowed to be a soft diplomat?
Right, that's what I'm wondering.
Culture? That
that's
seems
what I'm
very
wondering.
Problematic.
It does. It does, but at the same time, I speak the language fluently.
True.
You know what
true.
I mean? It's not like I don't completely know what I'm doing.
That's true. You have been exposed to it. You've been there a bunch of times and stuff like that.
I could see how it would be problematic, but
I feel like it wouldn't hurt, but it's not really. It's not. It's kind of like, you know, when you were in China or in Czech Republic, we've talked with David about how you're kind of a celebrity, and it's not because and it's because you're the American and you're the only one with the American perspective. I don't know if it really works as well. Like, the idea of it kind of starts to fall apart if it's just. And I'm not saying you can't teach aspects of a German culture, but I feel like the idea of soft diplomacy falls apart if a foreign person is teaching you about someone else's culture.
I would disagree with you just because I think the whole point of soft diplomacy is if I go to China or Mongolia or Czech Republic and I come back and you've never been there, I can tell you what it's like. And then maybe that gets you interested and you go, oh, wow, Prague sounds amazing. They have some amazing art museums and great food, svíčková, beer.
You don't have to belong to the place to
not necessarily,
be
right?
a soft diplomat. That's
I don't
fair.
think so.
That's fair.
What about an expat? What about if you live in a country for 20 years and then you move back to the States?
That's true.
If you lived in France for 20 years and you were telling me about France, I wouldn't look at you and be like, you're not French. What are you talking about?
20 years is a long time,
right?
Though.
Even 1 or 2 years, I think, is enough to gather a little bit of soft diplomatic knowledge.
Sure. I mean, I'm not. Of course, yes.
Don't try to strip my credibility, Jay.
I agree with you. I lived abroad for 4 years, so I do understand.
Right.
I do understand, like, getting to the point where you feel like you understand the culture well enough where you're not speaking for them, but you kind of understand where they're coming from. I definitely understand that. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but it
is different. You're right. It is different than me I feel like I have a lot more freedom to say what I want as an American.
Would you have that same sort of celebrity status coming in as someone teaching German, like as an American teaching German?
Am I wearing my lederhosen or am I not wearing my lederhosen?
Fair enough.
If I got my lederhosen on, I get all the credibility in the world. If I got no hosen, then
I can't just get these off of Amazon.
Right, exactly.
You probably can. But
you can, but they look terrible. You've seen them, the cheap ones that people wear for Halloween.
Like khaki material.
Yeah, they're terrible, terrible. But I do feel a lot more free to say whatever when people ask me about the U.S., right? But when I have Americans ask me about Germany or Austria or Czech Republic or China, I do stop and think a little bit more. In the U.S., I tend to just...
I mean, I definitely hurl questions about Czech Republic and China at you all the time.
Right.
Like you are my soft diplomat for those countries.
That's right.
I don't like how that sounds. I'm going to be honest with you.
Right. Maybe I'm your SD. Is that better?
That sounds much better, Chad.
Maybe not. All right. Anyways, let us know what you think about soft diplomacy and how you think the U.S. and other countries could do a better job with soft diplomacy at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1, for lots of great tweets, episode info, and Jared's cunning charm and wit. So check that out. Also check us out on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast, for pics and clips and other great stuff. And lastly, please, 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher, and let us know how we can make this podcast better for you. So, as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, dziękujemy, muchas gracias, shisha, and do svidania. All right. Yeah, we need to think of a better term than soft diplomat. Just...
Chad,
yes,
Chad's my soft diplomat.
Ooh, that sounds a little weird. What could you say? You're... I like attaché, honestly.
I really like that too.
It rolls off the tongue.
Attaché, I thought that was like a bag, like a travel bag.
Well,
isn't it attaché like a travel bag?
Let's see what.
Like a Gucci attaché.
Well, I think they call him the cultural attaché.
I do like it though. I mean, it sounds very classy. I would love to be at an event and be like, so what do you do? I'm an attaché. Oh, shit.
Attaché. An attaché is a person who is assigned to the diplomatic or administrative staff the higher placed person or another service. So this is usually like the staff of the diplomat. Yeah,
the attaché. So it's not even like
the ambassador. They're diplomats, but
it's not even. It's not even really like a great position.
I think they make pretty good money. I think they make at least $80,000.
But you're not like the top dog or anything.
No,
or close to the top dog.
No, not one bit. Not one bit.